President Obama continued his public Q&A sessions with members of Congress. You'll recall last week he met with House Republicans. Today it was the Senate Democrats' turn. In front of this friendlier crowd, the president talked fiscal responsibility and bipartisanship while also calling out the GOP.
I want to work together when we can, and I meant it. I believe that's the best way to get things done for the American people. But I also made it clear that we'll call them out when they say they want to work with us, and we extend a hand and get a fist in return.
And if there is one thing voters have made clear, that they too are frustrated when politics gets in the way of policy. Tonight in our hot seat, Representative Darrell, a Republican from California, and I asked how Republicans can play a more constructive role in Washington.
Well, I think from my committee standpoint, we've learned over the last year is that transparency and real effectiveness of government requires not just a president who says he wants to have the most transparent government and who, quite frankly, has tried to lock a lot of lobbyists out of his administration, but it takes the vigorous oversight and the demanding of transparency by the committees. It's something that I think our committee has tried to do, but boy, we sure wish we'd done a lot more of it sooner. And when you saw Republicans and Democrats last week with Tim Geithner really hammering him on the cover-up, I think what you saw was us demanding that we do help the president be more transparent.
Well, to that point, you know, I think Scott Brown's victory in Massachusetts sent a clear message, not just to Democrats, but to Republicans also. I mean, do you think your party gets sort of the level of anger that's out there directed at both parties, at incumbents, more than just at Democrats?
Well, Campbell, we were the incumbents that were thrown out for being out of touch. We were thrown out for spending too much. They appreciated the tax cuts, thank you very much, but we weren't going toward a balanced budget. We got the economy all running well, and then we did not begin cutting back on basically stimulus-type programs. We tried to have both. And so I think we're the party that knows why we were thrown out, and we're certainly the party that if we're going to be invited back in, we're going to have to be different than we were in the majority the last time.
Well, what are your biggest mistakes, do you think, over the last year that you would replay?
Well, I certainly think that better educating our conference on, if we're not going to vote for something, making sure that every Republican buys into and starts talking specifically with his district about those alternatives that we believe in. A lot of members let the leadership say we have alternatives. It wasn't until last week at the retreat that the president was actually seen with ideas, flipping through and saying, well, I've read some of these, I know about them, and they have merit. That's a long time for the American people not to understand that we did have alternatives. We weren't communicating them very well.
So do you think that there is a possibility that you guys will get together, that there will be bipartisanship on some of these issues? If he's reading your legislation, I guess that's a start. Were you more optimistic?
Well, I am. Just afterwards, I talked to the president, and he agreed to meet with us on a bill that's already been passed, but that OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, is not implementing on government transparency, on database efficiencies, which doesn't sound like a big thing until you're a watchdog organization that says, look, we can't get through the information in a way that allows us to say whether the government's doing the job or not. The president is committed to do this, and he's even agreed to have a meeting to help us push the bureaucracy to do the right thing. On those kinds of issues, there is no Republican, there is no Democrat. We'd like to see the government spending less, but both parties would like to see the government spending better.
I couldn't agree more. Darrell, Issa, appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, Congressman.
Anytime.
Thanks so much.